The following program was pre-recorded. This is an ABC 13 Community Close-Up. Crossroads with Melanie Lawson.
Coming up today on Crossroads, music legend Berry Gordy on his role in helping to create the sound of young America.
My music was doing something that I didn't know it was doing.
Also, some Houston teenagers learn life lessons in earthquake-ravaged Haiti. And we'll introduce you to some Fifth Ward saints.
If your parents tell me that you've been disrespectful at home or anywhere else, you guys are gonna have to deal with the consequences.
Well, good morning to you and welcome to a special edition of Crossroads. I'm Melanie Lawson. If you've ever been to Washington, D.C., one of the tours on your must-do list should be a visit to the White House. But instead of the public tour, suppose you got a personal invitation to meet with two of the most powerful women in the nation.
An annual trip to Washington for a group of pastors' wives from Houston.
Our first tour was on Saturday at the White House. We were at the East Wing, and so we got a chance just to go in and see all of the beautiful things that are in the White House.
The last thing they expected was to be invited back, this time for a top-level private meeting.
But you got a last-minute call from the Congresswoman.
We did. You know, she does that. She makes those last-minute calls, and we answer. And she said she wanted the First Ladies here to have this experience and to be able to gather the information, the important information on human trafficking, that we can make a difference in our local churches.
These businesswomen got the same call, and they knew what they wanted to talk about.
And I'm going to ask them what is their policy and how will it be used to affect change in black males and black youth in America.
The black men, that's a future. And we have to make sure we take care of our children and we set them up for success because this world belongs to them.
We are here because the women play a huge role in the lives of African American men, and I think it's just a great honor to be here and looking forward to this meeting.
The excitement began even before they joined the long line to get into the nation's most famous house, when another Houston congressman happened by for his own meeting.
How you doing, everybody?
We weren't allowed to take in our cameras. They wouldn't even let us take in a cell phone. But we can tell you what was discussed.
The 26 women met for 20 minutes with one of the most powerful women in Washington, top presidential advisor Valerie Jarrett. Topics included domestic violence and human trafficking of women and girls of color. Also, what many see as unfair treatment of African-American men and boys by law enforcement, fueled by recent events like the shooting of an unarmed teenager in Ferguson, Missouri, and NFL players charged with violence against their partners. This is the one official picture taken in the Roosevelt Room. Afterwards, more pictures, this time on the White House lawn. The Congresswoman talking about why this meeting was so important.
These are leaders in the community, doctors and individuals in the faith community, businesswomen. We want Houston to be the #1 city that quashes domestic violence. I think this meeting was an inspiration to help women save lives in the area of domestic violence, sexual assault on college campuses, and certainly to have people, women in particular, have access to health care.
But it's not just women.
And we have statistics that indicate young boys are more than others, that African American boys are disciplined and are expelled from school and pre-K and kindergarten. We want this message to go out, that these boys are valuable, that they can learn and they can lead.
We have some very challenging times. Your White House visit was singular and important.
A second meeting in a congressional hearing room where the women heard from other government officials and reflected on what comes next.
I am very concerned about our African American young men, and I am concerned because African American young men tend to be the people that are with African American young women, who I take care of.
If they have those people who are reaching the masses, such as churches, such as organizations within the community, different types of grassroots things. Many things do happen in the community from those people who are able to touch them.
What did you think?
Just phenomenal. The collaboration with a great group of women, Valerie Jarrett, oh my God, just priceless information, and just seeing how we can move our communities forward.
But for all the pop, it's the simple memory that will linger.
White House!
I actually grabbed a napkin, and they did give me my name badge, so I was excited about that. It seemed so simple, but to someone who, first of all, never in a million years thought I would be living in a time where we have our first African American president, and then to be called into a place with the senior advisor to the president, it's just astonishing.
So I can take it back and also let my grandbabies know that their granny was here.
And you have foster boys, don't you? So this was particularly...
It's very special to me, yes.
What are you going to tell your church?
To get ready to help those girls that are battered, abused.
Alana Cook was once one of those battered women. Now she helps others.
At times we do feel lost, but today I thank God that, that the White House, that Congress stopped for a few moments to hear what it is that we had to say.
It was just so much to have to wrap your mind around, but to just know that I was in the people's house, being one of the people, just a common woman in Houston, Texas, in the president's home. That was the greatest thing for me.
Now, Valerie Jarrett promised the women she'd be making a trip to Houston in the near future to see firsthand the work they've been doing in their churches and businesses. We'll keep you posted. Well, he helped to create the sound that changed America.
Because when I started out, really, all I wanted to do was just make some music, make some money, and get some girls.
But it turned out to be so much more. On the Beat with Berry Gordy when Crossroads returns. Stay with us. Welcome back to Crossroads. For many Americans over a certain age, the music of Motown was the soundtrack of their lives. The stars of that era are among the most famous in music, from Diana Ross and the Supremes to Marvin Gaye to Smokey Robinson and Michael Jackson. But the man behind the music is just as legendary. Berry Gordy took an idea and a dream and turned it into solid gold and a sound that changed America. He was in town recently for a special honor, and I got the rare chance to sit down with him. Did you see from the very beginning that this might be a way to break down some racial barriers?
Well, actually, I was very lucky. I have to be really honest about this, because when I started out, really, all I wanted to do was just make some music, make some money, and get some girls.
Berry Gordy was an unlikely music mogul. He dropped out of high school to become a boxer, then went into the service before working in Detroit's auto industry.
My heart is crying, crying, lonely teardrops.
But somewhere along the way, he started writing music for a young singer named Jackie Wilson. Gordy borrowed $800 from his family to start his own label, but getting his music played wasn't easy.
And when I was told the white disc jockeys would not play my black music, I said, well, no, it's not black music, it's music by black people. And so I fought, and eventually I kept trying to do better until they finally understood that they were a pop station, but pop means popular. I said, my music is popular, And eventually they played a Miracles record, and called Shop Around, and the phones lit up, and the rest is history.
The Beacon of Change Award from Major League Baseball brings Gordy's civil rights story full circle. His earliest introduction to race relations came from the sports world.
The Joe Louis knocking out Max Schmeling when I was 8 years old and seeing my mother and father cry, and he was a black man, And then I saw what Jackie Robinson went through. He had a bigger purpose, and I felt that he had this inhuman experience. People spitting on him, doing this death threats and all. Here I'm, like 16, 17, and I'm wiser, and I'm saying, here's a man that's going through all this, And I felt personal about it, that it was for me, because he would go through all that and still win games and hit home runs and all that. And I just thought, how wonderful is that? How great is that? So he became one of my really big heroes.
His first love was music, but what a lot of people might not know is that Gordy would become involved with the civil rights movement as well, by developing a personal and professional relationship with Martin Luther King Jr.
Dr. King came to me because he admired Motown, and he told me that Motown music was bringing about emotional and political integration. My music was doing something that I didn't know it was doing.
Right.
You know, all I was trying to do was get all people to hear my music. It was good music. It was by black artists. You know, it was just music. And so Dr. King saw that, and he wanted to be on my label. He actually signed a Motown contract, and we had the 3 albums of his. And he and I became friends, and he taught me a lot of stuff about just turning the other cheek in this, because I didn't, in my neighborhood, people like me and James Brown, we didn't play that stuff, you know.
Yes.
We'd say, you know, you hit me here. You mean you hit me here, and I've got to turn over and let you hit me here? What?
Stop in the name of love before you break my heart.
As head of Motown, he turned many singers into superstars, including Detroit native Diana Ross. Although he calls her the star of his life and they have a child together.
Why didn't you ever marry her?
Well, because when you're working together and you create a superstar as she was, there's so many things, and you have to learn about that too. That's a whole thing you have to learn about. We are the best of friends. I mean, she comes to my show on Broadway and she cries every time she comes because she just loves hearing the truth about her life and about what happened. And so, but we are so close. We're like married.
He rocks in the treetop all day long. Happy man that's singing his song.
Another future superstar changed Gordy's policy of not signing kids.
Busy. I didn't even want the Jackson 5. I didn't want Michael Jackson. So I didn't want any more artists. Please, give me a break. But when I saw them, hey, you know, and then helping to develop him along the way, you know, was just a dream, because he was such a natural.
The year after signing the Jackson 5, Gordy nearly vetoed an album by Marvin Gaye that would become legendary.
He wanted to have a protest album, and I said, no, you can't. Motown is not about protest. Motown is about positive images and all this other stuff. And he says, but you don't understand. My brother's in Vietnam, and I want to awaken the mind of mankind, and you won't let me do it. And of course, I felt bad because that's what I was trying to do, wake up the minds of mankind. So I said, okay, Marvin, you can, you got my support. If you're right, I'll learn something. And if I'm right, you'll learn something again.
What's going on?
The title track of the album, What's Going On, would hit #1 and go on to be named one of the greatest songs of all time.
I was glad he didn't listen to you.
Oh, are you kidding? It was the biggest album we ever had, and I came to him and I said, Marvin, you know, not only is it's a revolution, you're starting a revolution.
Marvin Gaye, Diana Ross, Michael Jackson, and Smokey Robinson are among the artists spotlighted in Motown the Musical, which tells the story of Gordy founding and running the label. It began a national tour in the spring.
Motown the Musical, why was it so important to you?
It was more important for the people that lived it with me that I'm so grateful to. Because all those people, those artists that came in that lived and died to make Motown what it was. I owed it to them to do it. Because so many books had come out, because I was this cheating, the gangster, this, you know, this. No one expected a black man to be able to do a Motown without being in the mafia, without being a gangster, without being a crook.
Wow, I could listen to that music all day. Well, Motown the Musical is scheduled to make a stop in Houston next year, with shows in July at the Hobby Center for the Performing Arts. Although Gordy has said it is the last thing he's going to do, he admits he's already working on a movie. At 84, he's clearly still going strong. Well, it was an eye-opening trip of a lifetime for some Houston youngsters.
It makes you realize more how much you should appreciate, you know, your parents.
Life lessons in Haiti when Crossroads returns. Welcome back. Haiti is still reeling from the 2010 earthquake that devastated much of that country, killing some 300,000 people and leaving another million homeless. Some Houston teenagers got a chance to see the devastation firsthand as part of a special mission of mercy to that island nation. And our Samika Knight went along.
4 years old, 5 years old. Riding in the back of this loud diesel work truck, it's far from the air-conditioned, seat-belted vehicles they're used to. Sweating and sitting on wobbling chairs, volunteers from Houston nonprofit Help for Haiti, Inc. are now in the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere, ready for their mission.
Welcome to Kenya. Hi.
Good to see you again.
Setting up a summer camp for about 70 kids who call Haiti's Canaan orphanage home.
All the kids been rejected, some of them since birth, so they don't know the meaning of love. You understand? They don't know what true love is.
Volunteers wasted no time bonding with children on the playground and in the classroom.
You know, we're at an orphanage, and the kids just want to be hugged, they want to be touched, they want to smile, they want to touch you. And how can you not react to that?
Among the group,
my dad sent me. He sent me because he says I'm like ungrateful.
A handful of teenagers.
It smells like the outdoors. I mean, I kind of smell a lot of dog poop and stuff. It feels muggy.
Some unprepared for what they'd face.
I didn't think it would be this bad. Like, I didn't think really it would be this hot.
No electricity, no technology.
I mean, this is the first time I've been away from my phone.
But perhaps the most difficult.
So this is how I was sleeping.
Living without central AC.
My night was horrible because I didn't bring a fan. So I was in this thing. I couldn't feel no air. I thought I was dying.
18-year-old Bria Adams finds it hard to adjust.
Like I could see the bugs trying to get on me through the net.
It's been a tough trip for these Help for Haiti, Inc. teens. But when they look around
and see the young faces and often sad stories behind them,
it makes you realize more how much you should appreciate, your parent.
Just like the thought of not having your parent, and then like they can still smile and live another day. Like, I don't know how I would get through it if I didn't have my parents.
Just seeing what they go through and how they're still happy, like you wouldn't think, Their happiness makes me happy.
And that was Samika Knight reporting. Help for Haiti, Inc. is led by Johnny Jones, you saw him in that story, who dreamed of making a difference in the lives of some of Haiti's most desperate citizens, and he has done that. And along the way, given some Houston teenagers an education they will never forget. Well, it's one of Houston's toughest neighborhoods, but it's also home to some determined saints.
We chose the name Saints because there are some saints in the community that get overlooked.
The fifth ward you don't know when Crossroads returns. Welcome back to Crossroads. Houston's Fifth Ward is a special place with a special legacy. There are so many outstanding citizens, names like Barbara Jordan, Mickey Leland, and Joe Sample, and iconic institutions like E.O. Smith and Phyllis Wheatley High School. The community has certainly seen good times and bad, but as you're about to see, the heart and soul of the community remains its people.
We're in Fifth Ward, Texas. If you see the news all the time, you will be scared to come in because that's always talking about all the bad things happening here.
People hear Fifth Ward, the first thing they say, oh, Fifth Ward, they just think it's just such a bad place.
The squad ain't nothing like people really think perceives it to be. You're gonna have bad kids anywhere, but you just, any kid, don't be no guidance, you can find trouble very easy.
Let's go, let's go, let's go! All right, y'all come on the field. My name is Carlos Honore. All the way to me, all the way to me. I coach the sophomore team. Same thing going back, the Fifth Ward Saints. 1, 2, 3, Saints! And my wife and I, we were visiting a couple of friends in Fifth Ward, driving around, saw a lot of kids, saw a lot of things about the community I grew up in resembled the Fifth Ward. We talked about it and we decided that we would start a youth football team / social service program. You've been doing this long enough. You can do better than that.
Some kids at 9 years old and 10, 11,
Come on, Leo!
They don't have a positive role model, especially in this area.
I'm letting y'all know starting today, if your parents tell me that you've been disrespectful at home or anywhere else, You guys gonna have to deal with the consequences.
Hit them low.
What we do is we communicate with the principals of the schools, we communicate with the parents, communicate with the teachers. So the kid can't do anything and we not hear about it.
Say for instance you did something bad, it has to be consequences.
He's came into this community.
Gonna be able to get your head out of there?
And let them know that you don't have to get into gangs. You can do other things with your life.
He said, don't be like everybody else. Don't be running around the streets. Don't be doing all that. He just say stay focused in school and football.
Good. You don't have to live like the people you see on a day-to-day basis.
He's showing them that it's not about your neighborhood, it's the individual.
We use the people standing on the corners in the middle of the day. We use the people drinking, letting them know that those people were once kids and they once had a bright future. Okay, good. That's a good fit for you. And they decided they made a bad decision somewhere along the way that landed them starting to look like a football player now in the predicament that they're in. Right stretch.
That's what he's giving them, a way out. Just do what you know that's right in your heart.
Hustle, hustle. We give those kids that alternative. We let them know that just because you're from a certain part of the community or a certain part of the area, you don't have to be a product of your environment.
Once you know that you can be a leader outside of your community, you can shine.
We chose the name Saints because there are some saints in the community that get overlooked. And we feel that bringing attention to these kids, some of the positive things that are going on in the community, because so many times you hear about all the negative things going on and coming out of the Fifth Ward, but there are some saints. The kids in the community, to me, are the saints, and we as adults need to mold them and help them along in their path.
Just another stone that helped everything get better and better.
That's what I'm talking about. Hey, hey.
Every little thing helps.
Sound like good job, man. All right.
Well, Honore is so committed to the Saints, he once mortgaged his home to help pay for uniforms for the team. If you'd like to help him in his efforts, you can log on to our website at abc13.com. And we want to thank photographer Chris Grachek for that wonderful story. Well, that's our show for today. Thank you for joining us. I'm Melanie Lawson. Have a great day and a great week.